oriented data. So MongoDB is open source, NoSQL, document-oriented database developed by MongoDB Inc. company. So what is the meaning of open source? Open source means to use this MongoDB, no need to buy any kind of license. So it is a free to use. Anyone can install MongoDB server in his system and he can start working on the MongoDB. That is the meaning of open source. Next, NoSQL. NoSQL means not only SQL. NoSQL stands for not only SQL. It means to work with this MongoDB, we are not going to use SQL language. So SQL language is not mandatory to work with this MongoDB database. Next, document oriented. Document oriented means if you want to store any data in the MongoDB database, then we are going to follow JSON format. And that JSON format will be like an object. So in MongoDB, that objects we are going to call as a document. That's why it is called document oriented. So what is that document oriented? We are going to understand in more detailed way once I start with practical sessions. So what is MongoDB? It is an open source, NoSQL, document oriented database. Next point. It stores structured and unstructured data, but more popular to store unstructured data. So MongoDB is a database which can store structured data also and which can store unstructured data also. But it is more popular to store unstructured data. Now, what is the meaning of structured data? What is unstructured data? That we have to understand. So let's understand what is structured data and what is unstructured data. So let me open paint file and let me try to explain. Let's assume that I want to store user data. I want to store 10 users data. Like I want to store username, user gender, maybe user ID. Now, when it comes to structured data means for every user, if you are storing same type of data, for example, for user 1, if you are storing username, user gender, user ID, maybe user phone number. And for user 2 also, let's assume that you are storing same data. For user 2 also you are storing same data. So same name, gender, ID, phone number. For user 3 also you are storing same data. Like this till user 10, you are storing same data. Same data means for every user you are storing name, gender, ID, phone. If you are able to store your data in this way, this is called structured data. Then what is unstructured data? Unstructured data means, let's assume that for user 1, you are storing the data like name, gender, ID, phone. And for user 2, you are storing the data only name and gender. For user 3, maybe you are storing the data like name, gender, ID, phone, and email also. This is for user 3. Maybe for user 10, you are just storing name. So here you are storing inconsistent data for every user. So for one user, you are storing some amount of data. For another user, you are storing some other amount of data. And for another user, you are storing some other amount of data. Now this type of data we call as a unstructured. We call it as a unstructured. If you are storing same amount of data for every user, whether you have 10 users, 100 users, or 1000 users, you are storing same amount of data. Then this is called structured data. So MongoDB you can use to handle structured data also. MongoDB we can use to handle unstructured data also. Sometimes unstructured data also we have to handle, especially when you are working on streaming applications, e-commerce applications, right? Your chat applications, stream. In such applications, you are going to deal much more with unstructured data. For example, let's take e-commerce application or maybe social media application. Now in social media application, now let's assume that you are storing user posts information. Every user is going to do some kind of post. So you wanted to store that post information. Now, when you try to store that post information, for some users, the comments might be more. For some users, comment might be less. Maybe for some users, you might take likes information. For some other users, you might not store that. So such kind of inconsistent data you might store. Or maybe in streaming applications. So your video files, your audio files will have a different size. Different amount of content will be present in every video file, every audio file, every image files. So if you want to manage such data, which has unstructured nature, for that MongoDB is most preferable database. And if you want to handle any structured data, in that case, SQL types of databases are more preferred, like your Oracle, MySQL, SQL servers, all those. So that is the meaning of structured and unstructured. Next, MongoDB stores data as a document. As I have mentioned, in MongoDB database, we store the data in the form of document. Document is nothing but it will be like a JSON format. It will be like a JSON format. In MongoDB, we are not going to store the data in the form of tables or rows. So if you see, you might have encountered lot of structured databases like Oracle, MySQL. In such databases, you store the data in table format or rows format or column format. But in MongoDB database, we store the data in document format. Document format means something like this. Suppose if I want to store any user data, any user information, then I will create one object like this. And in that object, I am going to store username, maybe something like Kabir, then user gender, male, maybe some user ID like this. If I want to store any product information, now for that also, first I have to create one object. And in this object, I have to add ID of the product. Maybe I have to add name of the product. Maybe something like here iPhone 16. Maybe I have to add here price of the product, something like 80,000. So like this, we can store any amount of information about that particular entity. So your data inside the MongoDB, we are going to store in this fashion. Now this is called one document. This is called another document. So this object in MongoDB world, we are going to call as a document. We are going to call as a document. Okay. Yeah. So let's come back to our PPT again. So MongoDB is a open source, NoSQL, document-oriented database. It stores structured and unstructured data, but more popular for unstructured data. MongoDB stores data as a document in a format similar to JSON, instead of storing the data in a table or row and columns format. Next, what we have to understand is, it is great. MongoDB is great for application that need to handle large volumes of unstructured or semi-structured type of data. So where MongoDB is more popular, if you have a requirement where your application is handling lot of unstructured data, in those applications, MongoDB is more preferred language. MongoDB is more preferred database. So where MongoDB is more preferred database, it is more preferred in those applications where you have to handle large volume of unstructured or semi-structured data. Unstructured or semi-structured data. In such cases, MongoDB data is more preferred compared to your SQL databases. This is about what is MongoDB. Now next, we have to understand why we have to use this MongoDB. So the first point why we have to use this MongoDB is MongoDB provides us flexible schema. Flexible schema means you don't need to predefine your schema. You no need to define your schema. So what is the meaning of not defining a schema? It means you need not to decide what type of data you want to store for particular entity. For example, if I want to store the data for a user, then I should not decide what data I need to store. I can store any amount of data, any type of data for any user. So we should not fix that for every user I will take name, I will take gender, I will take ID. So it's my wish. For one user, I can take some amount of data. For other user, I can take some other amount of data. Maybe for some user, I can take his name, gender, ID, email. For other user, maybe I can take name, gender, city, his state information. So no need to predefine the schema. What type of data you are going to assign for a particular property? No need to define that part as well. So if you want to define, you define. If you don't want to define, don't define. So you have that flexible way in the MongoDB database. So in MongoDB database, you can store structured data also. You can store unstructured data also. As per your requirement, you choose what type of data you want to store. That is the meaning of flexible schema. For example, documents in the same collection can have different fields. If you have two documents, then they can have different fields. Fields are nothing but the properties in your object. So in one document, I can have 3 properties. In another document, I can have 5 properties. That is the meaning of flexible schema. Next, MongoDB database is fast for large scale data. So if you have a large volume of data, then doing write and read operation are very, very fast in the MongoDB. So MongoDB is designed to handle high volumes of unstructured data, especially if you want to do read and write operations. In that case, MongoDB databases are very, very fast. Very fast, you can retrieve the data. At very fast way, you can insert new data. Great with JavaScript and Node applications. Any applications where you are dealing with JavaScript, your JavaScript related ecosystem applications, JavaScript full stack applications, there MongoDB is the best option. Why? Because when you are working with JavaScript, everything is an object. In front end also you have to deal with object. In backend also you have to deal with object. Now even in the database you have to deal with object. That is the reason this MongoDB database is more preferred where you are using JavaScript stack. So it doesn't mean that if you are using Java stack or .NET stack, it doesn't work. It works, but it is more preferable database for the JavaScript stack kind of applications like your UI full stack, MERN stack, mean stack, Maven stack. In such kind of stacks, this MongoDB database is very preferred. MongoDB provides us cloud feature also. If you want to host your databases in the cloud, that is possible. MongoDB itself provides us cloud. We call it as a Atlas, Cloud Atlas. So if you want to host your MongoDB on the cloud without installing such servers and creating databases in your local system, then it is possible with MongoDB. So you can directly work with the cloud. So if you work with the cloud, it will be very easy for you to deploy your application and scale up your application. You can easily deploy your data and you can scale your data as per your requirement. So it works well in cloud environment as well. Next, easily scalable. So internally, MongoDB supports sharding. Sharding is nothing but your horizontal scaling. It's nothing but distributing your data into multiple servers or multiple systems. Instead of keeping your data in complete one system, you can separate your data in multiple systems. You can distribute your data into multiple systems. Maybe a certain amount of data will be in one system, in one server. Maybe other set of data might be in some other system or other servers. That is what we are going to call as a horizontal scaling. So it supports horizontal scaling. But your SQL data types supports vertical scaling. And managing vertical scaling is very, very, very costly, guys. It is not that efficient to utilize. If you have a very dynamic nature of your business, then in that case, your SQL type of databases are very difficult to manage. So these are the reasons why we go for MongoDB. The first, because of its flexible nature. So you can store structured or unstructured data. It can handle large scale data in very efficient way, especially if it is unstructured. And if you have lot of read and write operations, if you have very frequent read and write operations, in that case, MongoDB is the best option. If your application is related to JavaScript stack, for that also MongoDB is more preferred. It works well in cloud environments and easily scalable, and that too horizontal scaling is possible with your MongoDB databases. We are going to see how we can divide our data into multiple databases. I will show you how we can create databases easily, how we can separate our data into multiple databases. Next, when to use this MongoDB. So what is MongoDB? We understood. Why we have to use MongoDB? We have understood. But when to decide that now I want to use MongoDB or some other databases? So if you have a requirement where your application have a lot of scalability, means your application is going to grow in the future as you move. Today you might developing 4 features. Maybe after 6 months you want to develop more features. Maybe after 6 months again you have to develop more 4 features. If you think that your application is going to grow in future, then in such cases, MongoDB is the best suitable database for your application. If you need the performance, if you think that your application supports more read and write operations, you want the retrieval of data, inserting of data to be very, very fast, and where you need to handle structured or unstructured type of data. So in such cases, MongoDB is more preferable. Next, if your data structure is dynamic, same. Data structure is dynamic means unstructured data. If you think that your application is going to deal with more unstructured type of data, in that case, your best suitable database is MongoDB, because it allows you flexible schema. So depending upon requirement, you can decide how you want to store the data. So if you have such requirement, then again, MongoDB is more suitable. If your application demands which of JavaScript stack, if you are building your application with JavaScript stack, especially if you are using MERN stack or mean stack or Maven stack, if your application is completely built on JavaScript stack, in that case, MongoDB, you can use MongoDB instead of any other databases. And last point, if you want to avoid complex joins, So complex joins. Joins concept is nothing but basically in your SQL databases, you will create multiple tables and you will divide your data into multiple tables. So if you want to store user information, maybe basic information you will store in one table, address information you will store in another table, education information you will store in another table. Now, when I want the data of all the data of that user, now I have to get the data from that all the tables. So I have to join, I have to write the query which can access the data from multiple tables. So in SQL, this writing the queries on joins is very, very complex. But in our MongoDB, we can divide our data into multiple parts of your single databases. Plus, if you want, you can maintain everything in one collection also. So basically in MongoDB database, we are going to store the data inside the collection instead of table. So collection is like one container which is going to hold all your documents. Now you have two options. If you want, you can divide your documents into multiple collections, or in one collection only. In the nested format, you can store your data. That is the benefit we have with MongoDB database. For example, let's suppose I want to store user basic details, user address information also. Now in SQL database, what we do? We create two tables, table 1, table 2. So in table 1, you are going to store his basic information, like his name, his ID, his gender, maybe his email ID, like that. In address table, what you will do? You will store his address information, like his city, his phone number, PIN code, like that. Means you are going to create two tables. If I want all the data of that user, if I want to fetch all the data of the user, then I have to write a query to fetch the data from this table. I have to write the query to fetch the data from this table. So this is what we are going to call as a joins concept. And this concept looks very complicated in your SQL databases. Now, when we are using MongoDB databases, here what we can do. So how we are creating tables in our SQL databases? In MongoDB databases, we create something called collections. We create something called collection. And inside this collection, we are going to store all our documents. Document is nothing but object. Like this, you can store any number of object. Object 1, object 2, like this, object 3. Like this, you can store any number of objects. Now, instead of dividing our data into multiple collections, what we can do? In same collection, we can store the data in nested format. Nested format means something like this. You can create one document. You can store user name. You can store user gender. You can store user ID. Now, if I want to store user address information, here itself, I can create address field, and in that I can add one more object. And here I can maintain his city information, his state information. It means we have only one document. And in that one document only, we are maintaining the entire data in the nested format. So here, this is called nested object. In normal JavaScript, we call it as a nested object. So this is possible, or else what you can do, in one collection, you can store user name, gender, ID. In another collection, you can store address, city, state. Both are possible. But if you store like this in two different collections your data, then again here also we have to write joins kind of query. We have to fetch the data from two different collections. But if you don't want to fetch the data from two different collections, you want to keep in one collection only, then this is one option we have in MongoDB databases. But this kind of option we don't have in your SQL databases. So you cannot create nested tables in SQL databases. That is what this point is. So MongoDB supports embedded nested documents, making easier to model relationship without complex joins. Means in one document only you can maintain all the data. So MongoDB is like NoSQL database. Now what is this NoSQL? NoSQL database is nothing but NoSQL basically stands for not only SQL. It means to work with this MongoDB, no need to use SQL language. Suppose if you want to work with Oracle database or MySQL database, what is the first thing you will do? First, you have to learn SQL language. If you learn SQL language, then only you will be able to work with your MongoDB database, or maybe you can work with sorry, not MongoDB. You can work with your Oracle database, or you can work with your SQL Server databases or MySQL databases. But when you are working with MongoDB here, no need to learn SQL databases. Why? Because we are going to use here also JavaScript language. So if you want to work with MongoDB, again here we are going to use JavaScript, not SQL. That is the reason this is called NoSQL databases. And in all the NoSQL databases, we don't store the data in the table format or rows and columns format. Instead of that, we have different ways to store the data. So there are a lot of NoSQL databases. We have MongoDB, we have Cassandra, we have Redis. Like this, there are different types of NoSQL databases, and every database has its own structure, its own way of storing the data. What are those different ways? In some databases, you can store the data in the document based, nothing but in the object format. Example, MongoDB. In some databases, you can store the data in key value format, especially in the Redis databases. In some databases, you can store the data in the column based format. It means you will not create table, but you will store the data like a columns, one beside another. Especially in the Cassandra databases. We have one more graph-based databases. We store the data in the graph-based format. So in NoSQL databases, we have different ways to store the data. But here we are going to focus on MongoDB. So here we are going to learn how to store our data in the document based. Okay. This is what NoSQL. Now, why NoSQL? Why this NoSQL databases are becoming very popular in the market? The first reason is flexible data models. So same reason. Why? Because these days we are going to deal with lot of unstructured data, lot of social medias, applications deals with non-structured data. So to deal with non-structured data, NoSQL databases came into picture. Next, high performance. The NoSQL databases are much more faster than your SQL databases. So when you compare the performance of NoSQL and SQL databases, we can find that NoSQL databases are much more faster than your SQL databases. Especially read and write operations are very speed. Read and write means accessing the data from the database is called read operation. Inserting new data in your databases are called write operation. So these read and write operations are very fast. Next, great for handling semi-structured and unstructured data. So your SQL databases cannot handle unstructured data. They cannot handle semi-structured data. So especially these days, we are able to control all the devices using our mobiles. So IoT applications are created. Now, how you will store that IoT devices data? So for that, SQL databases will not work. Next, perfect for modern web and mobile applications. Because these days, when you are developing a lot of applications, we want a uniform way to exchange the data between different applications. For example, if you are working with Java, now in Java, you have to create the object as per Java understandable way. And if you want to send that data to front end, then what you need to do, that object format data, that Java object, you have to convert into JSON object, then you have to send it to the front end. And if front end is sending any data to you, it will be in the JSON format. Now in Java application, if you want to use the data of front end, first that JSON data you have to convert into object, Java object, then you have to use it. But if you take any application which is working on JavaScript stack, front end also JavaScript, backend also JavaScript. Now they are going to directly deal with the JSON. So these conversions will not be there. That is the reason you might have heard Mon stack applications are much more faster than Java stack applications. Why? Because in Java, lot of conversions will be there. But when you see security wise, in that case, Java applications are more secured compared to Mon stack application. Compared to Java, Mon stack, Javas are more secured. It doesn't mean that Mon stack applications are not secured. In the same way, it doesn't mean that Java applications are very slow. Compared to Mon stack applications, Java applications are little slow. So it is perfect for dealing with your REST APIs. In that cases, this MongoDB databases will play a very crucial role. So in such cases, this NoSQL type of databases are required, especially if you are working with REST APIs. Now, final and last theoretical concept, that is, what are the advantages of MongoDB? The first advantage is a schemaless. No need to provide any kind of structure and to store our data. Second, scalability. Easily you can scale your data. You can transfer your data into multiple systems. High performance. MongoDB databases are very fast in read and write operations. Data flexibility. You can store any type of data inside your MongoDB databases. You can store structured data, unstructured data as well. It's more developer friendly if you are working with JavaScript stack, or even if you are working with Java stack, .NET stack, still you will be familiar with the object topics. That is the reason as a developer, it is more friendly for us to deal with the objects. Next, easy to use compared to your SQL databases. NoSQL databases are much more easier to learn, much more easier to use. And last, MongoDB provides us cloud as well. So it has a compatibility with the cloud. So these are the advantages that we have on MongoDB databases. So schemaless, scalability, high performance, data flexibility, developer friendly, easy to use, and cloud native compatibility. So I'm going to provide you this entire slides, guys, after the class. If you want to read about this, you can spend your time. Okay, so let me provide you that GitHub link from where you can download all this. So I am providing that link on the chat. So if you click on the link which I have provided on the chat, you will land on this page. So here you will find something called PDFs. If you double click on that, now here you will find so many PDFs. So right now, whatever slide I have explained, that is our 01. So if you open this MongoDB, so right now, whatever slides I have added, I have converted into PDF format and I have updated here. So you can read this whenever you want. And here I have added one more PDF where I have explained about databases. So I did not discuss all the databases, what is unstructured structure, because again, it will be more theoretical part for us. But still, you might want to know what are the databases, what types of databases we have, what are the advantage of SQL databases, what are the disadvantage, what are the advantage of NoSQL databases, what are the disadvantage of NoSQL databases. Such kind of queries we will have. So for that, I have created one document, and in that document, everything I have explained here. So you can go through this document as well. And in coming sessions, whatever topics I am going to cover, like operators, relations, all those PDFs I have added here. Some more PDFs I am going to add here the moment we cover those things. I hope you got this URL. You can download from there. Now let me take doubts. Yeah, so little bit, Krishna, you will find variation in MongoDB and your Cassandra Redis database. MongoDB is called document oriented, not key value pair. Inside the document, data will be stored in key value pair. Yes, Java can also be used in scalable and enterprise applications, no doubts in that. Even all the stack applications you can use in enterprise and scalable. All the stack applications are scalable. But if you see the performance, little bit, your Java applications will be little slow compared to other stack applications because of its rigid nature. Okay. So anyone have, guys, any other doubts? So I got questions from Durga, Krishna. Any other people? So performance wise, nested way of accessing data are much more faster than joins, guys. So instead of dividing your data into multiple collections, and accessing data will be little slow compared to if you are maintaining the data in one collection and in the nested format. That is the reason this nested format have little bit more preference if your data is not much more complex. So unnecessarily no need to use joins if it is not required. That is the benefit we have in the MongoDB. So whatever I have covered when to use MongoDB, that applies for all the stacks. Java is just backend part. So you can manage front end with other stack, maybe from other stack, other technologies. Now, if you have a requirement to handle like unstructured data with Java applications as well, in that case, you can go with MongoDB. Yeah, Abhishek, for that you required a lot of knowledge. Right now, I cannot explain that part. So it will go out of context right now. So the prerequisite to learn MongoDB database is JavaScript. You should be aware of JavaScript. You should know functions in JavaScript. You should be aware of what we call objects concept, arrays concept, operators concept in JavaScript. So the basics of JavaScript you should be aware of. Krishna, it will come. Don't worry, everything will come. Yeah, so the people who are from Spring Boot, for them, the same thing, whatever I am teaching this workshop, MongoDB, here you have to attend. So in morning, I won't be covering MongoDB, guys. Okay. Yeah, so let's come back now. Let's understand setup to work with MongoDB database. So what setup we have to do? To work with MongoDB database, we have to install two softwares. We have to install two softwares. The first one is we have to install MongoDB server. To work with MongoDB databases, first we have to install MongoDB server, and then we have to install MongoDB shell, which will act like a client application. So we have to install MongoDB server and we have to install MongoDB shell. So once you install MongoDB server, now to this MongoDB server, you can connect using a client application called MongoDB shell. Using a client application called MongoDB shell. So MongoDB shell will provide us interface where we can write the commands in JavaScript. And using this MongoDB shell, we can connect with this MongoDB server. And once you are connected with MongoDB server, all your commands, whatever you are writing here, those are executed in your MongoDB server. And based on your commands, the operations are done. Like if you want to create database, for that there will be one command. If you want to create collection, there will be one command. If you want to access the data from the collection, there will be one command. If you want to insert new data in the collection, there will be one command. So MongoDB shell will provide us interface where we can add commands. And these commands will be executed in your MongoDB server. That is the reason to work with MongoDB databases, we have to install MongoDB server and MongoDB shell. So how to install MongoDB server? For that, go to your browser. And here simply type mongodb.com. So visit MongoDB official website. So when you visit mongodb.com, this is where you are going to land. Now here you have products option. Click on this products. And then you have to click on this community edition action. You have to click on this community edition option. Now scroll down. You will have here option called download community. Click on this download community. Again here, scroll down. Now here you have an option to select the version. The current version is 8. Platform, which operating system you are using. Based on that, you select your option. So right now I'm using Windows. So I have selected Windows. And here you have to select the package. So by default, .msi package is selected. You have one more option, that is zip. So better to select MSI because directly it will provide us installer file. So this is the by default options which are selected. Now just click on download. So when you click on download, one file will be downloaded. .msi file will be downloaded. Nothing but one installer file will be downloaded. Okay, so it's little heavy file, so it will take some time to install. So already I have installed, already I have downloaded, so I'm not downloading it. So once it is downloaded, go to your downloads and here you will find something like this. Here you will find something like this. MongoDB Windows 64-bit. So when I download that .msi installer, this is how it looks like. Now once it is downloaded, just double click on it. It will start the installation process. So it will open the wizard and here you will find next button. So click on this next button. Then check this checkbox. Again, click on the next button. Then select this complete. Don't do anything here. So by default here, This checkbox is selected, like install MongoDB as service. So don't disturb it. Just click on next. So here you are going to find the location where your MongoDB will be installed. So it will be installed in C drive under program files. And the name of the service will be MongoDB. So I will show that. So now once you get this model, again click on next. Don't do any changes here. Just click on next. Yeah, now here you have to be little careful. So once you get this install MongoDB Compass wizard, then by default you will see that here checkbox is selected, install MongoDB Compass. So this is like a GUI. This is a GUI software to handle your MongoDB server and your MongoDB databases. So right now we don't want to handle our MongoDB server and MongoDB databases using GUI format. So unselect it. So uncheck that part and click on next button. Make sure you are unchecking it, because if you try to install MongoDB Compass also, your installation, your process will be very long. So make sure you are unchecking it. Click on next and then click on install. So it will take less than 30 seconds to install MongoDB in your system. Once it is installed, then you will get that finish wizard. Just click on this finish. So what you have to do, first you have to go to the browser and here you have to search mongodb.com. First you have to visit their official website, then click on this products. So here you have this products option. Click on this products option. Once you click on this products option, one model will open. Now here you have to click on this community edition option. Then scroll down. Here you will get download option. Click on this download. Then scroll down. Here you will get the options to download your installer file. Just click on this. This installer file is around 60 or 70 MB. So it will take little time. So if your internet is slow, so just download it. Once it is downloaded, this is how you are going to find that installer file. This is how installer file will be. Once it is downloaded, just double click it. So how we install our IDEs, how we install our servers in the same way. Very, very easy installation. There is nothing in this. So if you double click on this, this wizard will open. Click on next. Select the checkbox. Click on next. Click on complete. Click on next. Now here, be careful. Don't go with the flow. Whenever you find install MongoDB Compass, unselect it. By mistake, even if you selected it, no problem. Just installation process will be little long. That is the reason I am saying uninstall. I mean, uncheck it. Don't install. So when we are not using it, why to install unnecessarily? So even if by mistake, if you install, there is no problem in that. So click on next and click on install. So it will take less than 30 seconds to install MongoDB server. Remember, we are installing MongoDB server, not MongoDB database. We are installing MongoDB server as a service. So once it is installed, then you will get this finish pop-up. Just click on finish. Now, if you want to verify whether MongoDB is properly installed in your system or not, then go to your C drive. Under program files, you should be able to find MongoDB folder. So you should find like this MongoDB folder. So you have to go to C drive under program files. You have to go and check MongoDB folder is created or not. If yes, then open it. Then you will get here server folder, open it. Then you will get 7 or 8, or maybe you will get only 8. Then just open this latest one, 8. Then you will have here bin folder, open that bin folder. And here, if you find this MongoDB, if you find here something called MongoDB, and if you find here something called Mongoose, it means successfully MongoDB server is installed in your system. And it is installed as a service. It is installed as a service. So in background, your MongoDB server will be in the running state. If you want to check, then you can just open your services. So these services will show you what are the programs, what are the processes which are running in your system in the background. Now here, if you search for MongoDB, so if you scroll down somewhere, you will find MongoDB. So here we have this MongoDB server. So MongoDB server is in the running state. So by default, it will be in the running state. If you want to stop this service, then just click on this. If you right click on this, here you will have the option stop. You can stop it. And whenever you want to start, again, you can come back here, right click it. You will get the start option. You can start it. So if you don't want to keep MongoDB server running in the background, then manually you can go and stop. You can start whenever you want. So right now I'm not disturbing. It is in the running state only, so that it will be easy for me to connect my Mongo shell with my MongoDB server. So whenever you want to connect your MongoDB shell with your MongoDB server, it should be in the running state. If it is not in the running state, you cannot connect. So you can close that part. Understood, guys, how to install MongoDB server? Is it clear for everyone? Yeah, same guys, Mac OS or Linux OS, the installation process is same. Everything is available. All the options are there. Okay, now I don't have Macs to show the installation of Mac. So I'm using Windows, so I have shown on the Windows. So guys, if you don't know JavaScript, then it will be little difficult for you to understand, but at least try to learn basics of JavaScript, like what are functions in JavaScript, what are objects, arrays, and you might be familiar with the concept of functions, object, arrays in other programming language also. So if you know the concepts, that's more than enough. Yeah, about videos access, you guys have to ask management, guys. I'm not aware of whether videos access will be there or not, but I think access will be there. It will be uploaded on the YouTube, so you can easily access from the YouTube. But still, just connect with the admin after the class and just ask them whether you have the access of recorded video or not. So 90% it will be available, but still there are some 10% probability that they might not provide. So better to get confirmed from them. Okay. So now let's come back here. So what we have learned till now, let's understand. So we have started our discussion with what is MongoDB. Then we discussed why we have to use MongoDB. Then we learned when we have to use. Then we understood what is NoSQL, why we have to use NoSQL. And then we discussed advantages of MongoDB. And then we have seen how to install MongoDB server. This is what we have discussed till now. These are the things what we have discussed till now. In tomorrow's session, we will try to discuss how to install MongoDB shell, how we can connect our shell with server, and how we can create our first database. And before that, we will understand architecture of MongoDB database. Architecture of MongoDB database. And then we will discuss all the CRUD operations that we can perform on the MongoDB database. So this workshop will go for next 5 to 7 sessions, guys. Minimum 5 sessions, maximum 7 sessions. Every day, session will be from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. So on daily basis, I will provide you notes. Plus videos will be also available, like I think, but I'm not sure about it. Not sure about it. And everybody has to attend. So the people who are in the backend with Node at 5 p.m. So for those people, it is mandatory, and other batch peoples, it is like optional for you. So if you want to learn MongoDB database, then you can join this workshop. So obviously within 5 to 7 sessions, so many things you are going to learn. Now here I have one form, guys. So try to fill that form so that I will get the details of you. If I want to forward anything, then I can forward some information to you guys. So it will take hardly just 2 minutes, so that it will be easy for me. If I want to share any information with you, I can easily share. It's a small feedback form, so you can just add your feedback. If you have any concerns, if you have any questions, add those questions. I will just go through all those questions, and in tomorrow's session, I will just give the answers for all those questions, which are valid questions. Yes, MongoDB is used in DevOps. MongoDB can be used in any applications, any software. Java applications also you can connect with MongoDB, guys. Yes, if you are aware of functions, object, arrays, and operators. If you are aware of operators topic, which is common, operators are common in every programming language. So we are learning from our school days operators. If you are aware of all those operators, that's more than enough. I just need the concept, because the way of using these concepts in MongoDB will be different. But if you are aware of concepts, then it will be easy for us to understand. Sunday, we don't have any session, guys. Our sessions will be till Saturday. Then next session will be on Monday then. After Saturday, next session will be on Monday. So till Saturday, we are going to continue. After that, we will continue on Monday. For daily notes, I have given the GitHub URL. So I think I have given the GitHub URL to you. So let me just provide one more time. Videos you will get from the management, guys. Okay. So maybe they can upload on the YouTube, or they will forward you on your mail. So I have given one GitHub link. From there, you will find all the notes. So today's that PPT also I have updated in the PDF format in that GitHub. Yeah, guys, the people who filled that form, and if you don't have any doubts, yeah, you guys can leave. Let's join tomorrow at same time and let's continue. So from tomorrow, everything will be practical. Now I am not going to cover any theoretical part from tomorrow. Yeah, for that first we have to learn MongoDB, Visual, then only we can understand. So MongoDB provides, in short, much more features compared to other databases. And it is more aligned with your backend applications, which are related to JavaScript or any other languages also. Anupriya, no, this is in Mongo, like we will not have any separate MongoDB sessions. This only we are going to continue. Okay, that's why these workshops are scheduled at our 5 p.m. Prerequisite is JavaScript, guys. I told you, right? Basics of JavaScript, not very advanced JavaScript. You should know basics of JavaScript. Basics of JavaScript means you should be aware of functions topic, object topic, arrays topic, operators topic. That's it. The basics of JavaScript is prerequisite. Rajneesh, I hope you got the GitHub link I have just provided. Yes, 100% you can attend interview, Shubham. Course will go for 5 to 7 days.